All right, welcome to the Explainer. So if you're an early career researcher, you know the feeling choosing the right type of review article can feel like this huge, intimidating hurdle. Well, in this Explainer, drawing from the fantastic work of Ghosh and Chowdhury, we're going to break it all down and give you a clear map to follow.
You've had that light bulb moment, a brilliant research question. But then, you hit a wall. How do you synthesize everything that's already out there? It seriously feels like being dropped into a maze, right? It's a challenge every single researcher faces. But the good news is, we've got the map for you.
Okay, so first up, we're going to talk about why this choice is such a big deal. Then, we'll open up what we're calling the Evidence Synthesis Toolkit to look at 5 main approaches. After that, we'll walk through how to choose wisely, and I'll share a pretty crucial word of warning. And finally, we'll talk about how your work can really meaningfully build on what we all know.
All right, let's dive right in and tackle that first hurdle. Because understanding why this choice matters so much, well, that's the absolute key to getting your research off on the right foot. Look, this is so much more than just ticking a box on a checklist. The type of review you choose fundamentally shapes your entire project. Get it right, and you've got high-impact, super reliable findings. But get it wrong, you could end up with flawed conclusions, a ton of wasted time, and research that honestly just doesn't move the needle. So yeah, the stakes are pretty high.
Okay, now for the fun part. Let's open up that researcher's toolkit. We're going to explore the 5 main types of evidence synthesis. I want you to think of them like different instruments, like in an orchestra. Each one has a very specific and very crucial part to play.
So here they are, the big 5. Quantitative, qualitative, mixed methods, mapping, and meta-evidence. Each one answers a different kind of question, from does this thing actually work, to what does it feel like to go through this? All right, first up, quantitative synthesis. And just like it sounds, this is all about the numbers, the data. The whole point is to answer a really focused question by rigorously gathering and analyzing hard evidence, all while trying to minimize bias. This is your go-to, your powerhouse tool when you need a straight answer. Does this intervention actually work? Okay, and this is where things get really interesting, because we're going to clear up something that trips up a ton of people. Think of a systematic review. That's a type of quantitative synthesis, like a detective on a case. It has one super focused question, and it's all about rigorously checking all the evidence to help make real-world decisions. Now, a scoping review, that's totally different. It's more like a map maker, an explorer. The goal here is to just chart the entire landscape of research on a topic, see what's out there, and find the gaps, to guide future research. It's not usually doing that same deep dive quality check.
And this table really drives home how important rigor is. Look, these guidelines, like Prisma, they aren't just red tape or bureaucracy. They are essential roadmaps. They make sure your work is transparent, that someone else could repeat it, and that ultimately people can trust it.
Okay, let's grab our next tool from the kit, qualitative synthesis. So if quantitative was about the what, this is all about the why and the how. Here, you're diving deep into stories, experiences, non-numerical stuff to really understand the rich context behind why people do what they do. So when would you actually use this? Well, imagine this. You don't just want to know if a treatment works, not just the stat that says symptoms went down 20%. You want to understand the lived experience of the patients going through it. That's where this method is pure gold. And yep, just like the other methods, it's got its own reporting guideline, ENTREQ, to keep everything transparent and above board. All right, the last 3 tools in our kit are all about getting that big picture view. Mixed methods reviews are amazing because they combine the what works from quantitative data with the how and why it works from qualitative data, so you get the whole story. Mapping reviews, like we talked about, literally create a map of the research to find where the gaps are. And meta-evidence? Whoa. This is the 30,000-foot view. It's a review of reviews, perfect for making sense of a really crowded field.
Okay, so we've seen all the tools, we know what's in the box. But now, for the million-dollar question, how do you pick the right one for your project?
This is it. This is the question that started this whole journey. With all these options on the table, what's the right choice for your specific research? And the answer? It all comes back to your question.
And boom, here it is, your guide. Honestly, this decision tree is probably the most practical thing you'll get from our whole chat today. You start at the top with your research question. Let's say your question is about the effectiveness of something. You follow that branch right down to quantitative synthesis. And if it's a really focused question, boom, systematic review is your tool.
But what if your question is totally different? Maybe you want to understand experiences and meaning. You'd follow that path down to qualitative evidence synthesis. Seriously, spend some time with this chart. It's the roadmap that's going to save you so much guesswork.
Okay, but wait. Before you get all excited and run off to start your review, I need to give you a pretty crucial word of warning. Think of this as the advice a senior mentor would pull you aside and give you, about what's really going on in scientific publishing right now.
Get this, between 1991 and 2014, the number of published systematic reviews and meta-analyses shot up by, wait for it, over 2,600%.
That is such a staggering number that the amazing researcher John Ioannidis called it an epidemic. And he's right. More isn't always better.
So here's what you've got to watch out for. These are the big pitfalls. First, redundancy. It's huge. For example, in just 7 years, there were 185 separate meta-analyses on antidepressants. That's just noise. And on top of that, you've got reviews with huge methodological flaws, you have conflicts of interest, especially from industry funding, and then there's publication bias, which is this sneaky problem where studies with boring or unfavorable results just disappear. They never get published. This is the static, the noise you have to cut through.
So all of this brings us to our final and maybe most important point. What is your role in all of this?
Your goal here is not just to summarize stuff or add another paper to the gigantic pile. It's about doing your work with so much integrity and clarity that you actually, genuinely contribute something meaningful. You're here to enhance the quality and the impact of science itself.
So, as you head out to start your own project with your new toolkit and your decision map, I want you to keep this one question front and center. Ask yourself, how is my research going to genuinely push science forward? How will I make sure I'm creating a clear signal and not just adding to the noise? Because that is the real challenge, but it's also the real opportunity.